Through the modalities for this webinar, but it's a cool day. It's a gentle webinar. I'm not all out to barrage you today, but to carefully, lovingly nudge you to something that will probably change how you look at yourself and how you handle the things that you do. The topic is ceiling is a lie. How many of us have heard the use of that phrase that, oh, you've reached a ceiling, or that is the ceiling? Maybe referring to someone's career, and you say it got to the ceiling of his career. Now, the average use of that statement is talking about a ceiling where it's not a physical ceiling, but it's a perceived limit to someone's rising. It could be a career, it could be a talent, it could be even in politics, it could be anything. But it's a kind of how do I put it? Perceived ceiling. All right. It's not a real ceiling, but it's just a perceived ceiling to someone's rising, someone's growth, or to someone's abilities. Okay, it's seen as a form of limit, a limitation. The question is, does this limitation really exist? And when you want to look at that, there's another phrase that says something is a glass ceiling. All right. Now that shows you that when you say something is a glass thing, you know what that means. It's glass is supposed to be transparent. Glass is supposed to be fragile. Glass is supposed to be brittle. And people could easily, most times, break glass unless it's toughened or it's very thick and it's made to stay, right? But when you say it's a glass ceiling, it's talking about that restriction that is perceived. And when something is perceived in that manner, it simply means it's not totally real. It's more like just a pseudo thing. All right? But the reality in life is that we usually believe in a ceiling. Now, for those who are builders, and today I'm going to be working with analogies, with illustrations that more or less kind of mimic the real world building thing, like architects would work, like builders would do things, like steel workers would do things. Because this webinar depicts someone who is a builder. And what do I mean by someone who is a builder? If you build a business, you build a family, you build a church, you build an institution. Even if you're a career person, you're building a career, you're building people under you, you're building management, you're building systems and processes. If you're someone who believes in helping others to grow, you're a builder. The mentality of a builder is that I can bring components together to create something bigger, more useful and functional. So if you're someone who has that kind of outlook to life, this is how you react to the ceiling. You see, for people who I can term as builders, whenever they stall, whenever their growth stalls, they believe they are the ceiling. They believe that they are the ceiling already. So most people, when they get to that point where they seem not to be growing anymore, they seem not to be, driven, because they are naturally driven, and they seem not to have that effect from that driving that they get. That drive that they get, and the results of it whenever they are driven, seem to have waned and fizzled out. Most builders, people of that building mindset, usually think they are stalled. They think they've stalled, like a vehicle which that's jacking and is not able to combust the fuel fully and starts to jerk, they think the best thing to do is to stop. Whereas it's simply because you are mixing two things together. The goal of this webinar today is to convince you that that ceiling you're looking at is a lie. That ceiling in your career, that ceiling that's making you move careers, that ceiling that makes you think you can't succeed anymore, you are old school, you are too grown, you are too old, you have gone archaic. It's a lie. This is the reason. For those who are driven, when they store, they think or assume they've hit a ceiling and that ceiling can be broken. Whereas, you see, when you've gotten a drive and you store, you've not hit a ceiling. Rather than hit a ceiling, you simply run out of leverage. This is what I mean. The reason why you've been creating so much over the years, the reason why you've been achieving so much over the years was not because you were putting so much effort only, but you were using so much leverage. So I'm going to show you, what leverage and efforts are. And because we mix them up, that's why we assume. Effort is how hard you push at something. If I'm pushing at this, my right hand is pushing my left hand, I have to exert effort here. I'll exert a force. But leverage is when I want to move this hand and I figure out where the control of this hand is. And I just go for that control. That's leverage. But trying to push against this hand, trying to push all the time, is effort. Leverage is to go find what controls this palm and just with minimal effort, move it, just like a door. If you get to a door and you try to open the door, you just try to push it in to make it swing, but you are pushing at the hinges. What happens? At the hinges, the door would move. But if you go to where the doorknob is and put a minimal effort there, because the hinges are the leverage, you leverage on them and the door opens. So when you store, you are not stalling per se, you're not hitting the ceiling, you're actually running out of leverage. Like I said, effort is how hard you push, leverage is how much each push actually moves the matter. Effort is how hard you push, how hard you've been pushing for months, for years now. That's making you think you are run out of juice and ideas. You think you've lost your mojo. You think you're no more relevant. No. Effort is how hard you push. Leverage is how much that push, each push you apply actually moves or achieves. So when you feel stuck, the instinct is to push harder, push more, push for longer. That's the instinct. But if the problem is not effort, and if the problem is really leverage, like I'm putting to you, then applying more effort changes nothing. And you see, I've been there. You think that if you do this better this way by doing more of it, you get better. No. If you stay awake more, doesn't mean you get better. If you do more of it, if you try and read more, doesn't mean you get better. If you try and do more of that project, doesn't mean you get better. Because you're just applying effort. If you visit a place more, but if you can understand the leverage that you had before and rebuild that leverage, the effect of your success comes back in. The flow gets back. But when you put too much effort into the same thing that you're losing leverage on, you begin to get tired in the same spot. More effort changes nothing. You just get tired. And you still stay at the same spot. So, use the analogy of my palm, use the analogy of the door. You found that when you were pushing at the hinges, the door was not opening. And now that you pushed a little from the handle and let the hinge leverage, you had little effort, but you achieved the result. So it's not your effort that achieved what you achieved, opening the door, it's your leverage. So, this webinar is saying that stuck people who think they are stuck in their career, their family, their love life, in their finances, in their dreams, in their aspirations, in their visions. People that think they are stuck, they are just people who are pushing at the hinges and they are blaming their hands. So they are blaming the wrong thing. In case you're saying, but come on, I'm building something. I'm doing my best. Yes, you are. Like I said, if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, you could be an architect, builder, project manager, you could be a young person, you're a team member, you're a family man. But if your ability always turns towards building things, building people, achieving things from scratch, then this is your mentality. This is what pains you the most. The fact that you've been growing in that crescendo and then suddenly you are plateauing. It's a panic attack for most of us who have that kind of mindset, builder's mindset. You know, a builder would take something on the left, like you can see, like a blueprint, and turn it to gold on the right. That's how you are. You took your business from nothing, built it up. You went to that office as a civil servant or as a member of staff at a locator, and you rose up. You built people around you, raised other people. You created new systems, new processes. You fought for change. You made the atmosphere better. You're a builder. That's a mentality. And that's what we're here to do. We're going to do 3 quick exercises before we finish this webinar today. And you have your free capacity audit for you, for everyone. The link is on the chat box. Go there, click on it, download it, ready. So that when we get to it, you can answer your questions in a piece of paper, and then later after the webinar, go to it and write your answers there. That will change your situation. These are the numbers, and this is what they're saying. The world you are eating is simply because you're still performing, all right? Even though the plateau you're feeling makes you look at it as if your effort is failing you, your effort is not failing you. You simply should realize that you are still performing. You're still going to do those things. You're still going to work. You're still thinking about it. You're still building that. You're still running that business. You're still yearning for a change. You're still praying for a better tomorrow. So you're still performing. It's not because you stop performing. We think we stop performing. We think our performance stops. No, your performance hasn't stopped. What has stopped is your growth. You simply stop growing. See, because there's a wall now that you're pushing at without leverage. And that wall has a name. It has specific shape. That wall could be more hours. That wall could be more hours with the same results. That wall could be busier than you've ever been. Yet somehow you find out you are still stuck in the same place you've always been. That wall that you're pushing and a certain effort on that's not moving could also depict you as coping fine on the outside, but cracking up in the inside. You're afraid on the inside that you would never recover. But on the outside, everybody thinks you're fine. The problem is the gap between the two words that people treat wrongly. People treat them the same, but they are two different words. When you plateau in your performance, you think your effort is failing you. Your effort is not failing. You are exerting effort. What is the problem? Is the method that is failing. Remember, I made the analogy of the door. You're pushing at the hinge, the door would open. You push at the doorknob, leverage the hinge, the door opens. So your effort was always there. Just that it wasn't producing that solution, that movement you want, wasn't leveraging. So it's your method that is failing. That's the point tonight. Those areas of your life where you seem to be stuck and you're tired and you're wondering, I can't move ahead, I can't do any other thing. It's simply because the method you're using is failing. Most of us trade our hours to get output. But you see, there are only so many hours in a day. Maximum 24 hours. If you don't sleep, you don't eat, you don't drink, you don't use the loo, and you work all day, you can only work for 24 hours. Of course, you and I know it's not possible not to do those other things. So even if you are giving your 24 hours for output, at a point, you will plateau. And so what do? Do you borrow more time? You can't. What do? You got to change the method. Because that method of exchanging hours for your output has a ceiling, a very hard ceiling built into it. Because you have limited time, you have limited hours. So eventually it runs out. And because everyone relies on you, everyone relies on it too. Anyway, everybody relies on 24 hours, you rely on 24 hours, everybody relies on 24 hours, and then people rely on you. End of the day, your 24 hours are used up. I once watched a movie where, in that movie, supposed to be in the future, once people turn, I think 18 or something, as they watch a band on their hands, the band would shoot up, come alive with a number of hours. That hours is the time the person has to die. As the hours run down, the person will die when he goes to zero. But you can trade and get things done, work for people, and they pay you in hours. They pay you in time. They just tap your wrist at it and time would increase. That's your payment. If you want to now buy food, you go and buy with time. If you eat too much, you use all your time. If you eat too much food, you use all your time and the person will die of hunger. Very, very strange movie. So people are now trying to steal time. And I think the movie was shot just to prove that funny way of time being a resource. So if you're trading your time for output, eventually you will run out of time. And these are what the numbers are saying. It's not just you that's going through this. It's not just you. Other people are going through it. And what we've seen over time is that 75% of workers worldwide report burnout this year. This year 2026. 45% of middle managers are burned out. That's the highest you have of any group. And 65% jump in burnout mentions year over year. So see those figures, the list is 45%. And that's for middle managers. We don't talk about senior managers, we talk about lower managers. These figures are very high. That's the truth. So imagine a student who studies more and more hours, but their grades drop and it never improves. How would that student feel? They will feel like failure. They'll feel like they're a failure. Whereas when you study more and more, that shows you're not lazy, right? It just means they've maxed out. They've maxed out their method. They had more hours, but those hours of reading can't take them further. Why? Because studying is not just about the time you put in. It's all about the method of how you assimilate, right? So once you find the right method of assimilation, you can study less and understand faster. I hope you get the analogy, and that's what I want you to have your mind on. As you see, you're not out of energy. You're only out of leverage. Remember what we said about the door. When you start putting effort on the other side of the hinge, the door is not going to move. But when you face your paradigm shift, you now begin to leverage, you push at the right edge, and then you begin to see results. Now, how do you apply this to your business, to your life, to your career, your dreams, and your visions, even to your family? Let's check that out. Let's look at these three things. Number one, you make the hour produce more value. That is, every hour of your life, make it to produce what? More value. That way, remember, we have limited time. We have limited time every day. But if you make your 1 hour to produce more value, you will see yourself growing. That's called skill stacking. And then number two, you stop spending the hour on low value work. So even though a job could be a job being done, it is low value, so that you don't spend your own 24 hours on that low value job and then complain of lacking growth. You stop spending your hour on low value work. That's called delegation and systems. And then number three, you make the hour deeper so it does more for you.